This episode is for Friday, March 6th, 2015. Welcome, Meteor fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my co-host,
Rye Walker.
My long-missing co-host. It's been a while, right?
It's been like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I know, and I was like so frustrated today. I was like, it was like 3:15. I'm like, Josh, find somebody else. But I'm here.
Nice. All right. I used to always say like where you could find us and stuff. I stopped doing that. I just realized that the other day. It's kind of funny. Let's see. Sponsors, Modulus, big sponsor all year long. Speaking of Modulus, I just got an email from them about Mongo and Node. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read that. Anyway, you'll hear the ad if you're listening on the podcast. If not, be sure to check them out, modulus.io. We have a coupon code. I need to say it. Someone was asking me the other day, hey, what's that coupon code? It's Meteor Podcast, all one word. Get you a $25 credit, and it'll tell Modulus that you value their sponsorship of this show. All right, this week we're going to talk about a release candidate for Meteor. We're going to talk about a MongoDB story, environment settings and security for Meteor, native OS X apps with Meteor, and reactive user interfaces. All right, so I think the big story today. This one come out today? It was today or late last night. 104 RC0 is out and available for testing. There's a lot of good changes in here. So there's like the template level subscription stuff. They changed session set syntax, so now you can set multiple keys and values. There's something around like pausing, like you can pause a local collection now and like it'll stop doing updates. It looks like they've got compression support, for DDP now. So WebSockets now supports compression, and DDP can take advantage of that if you want. Some Cordova updates. I don't know. Also, I've got one in there. I changed --test so that it'll only run once now and then exit properly. So I think when you're in CI mode, that was kind of the expectation. You just run --test and it should like air out or pass properly. But what was happening is you actually had to pass --, once as well, which seemed a little odd because, when you're in a CI environment, you just kind of want it, like, if it's going to crash, just crash and exit rather than trying to rebuild over and over again. So then you'd get in this situation where it would just wait for the 10-minute timeout and then tell you your build failed, and then you'd look at it. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anyway, there's some really great release notes up. Like, I'm curious what they've changed in Cordova. Oh, it looks like there's some kind of attack vector for Android in Cordova, and so now you have to specify, you have to whitelist all the allowed domains that your Meteor app or that your Cordova app can access with 104. So that feels like kind of a biggish change. I don't know.
Yeah. I was just looking at the pause flag in local collection. I hadn't read that one.
Yeah.
Did you have you looked at that thing?
No, I haven't. Where's that at? That's in Minimongo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what that does, because that could be interesting. But I shouldn't read while on podcast. That's boring.
I guess the other kind of interesting thing is that they've moved to a newer Mongo driver And
it's 2.6.
yeah, it supports, like, they've officially tested out everything with 2.6, and there's a couple little changes related to that, but the driver itself will also support 3.0, so theoretically you just, with 104, you should just be able to, like, connect to 3.0 and it should just work, right?
Yeah, 3 is pretty important. That's where the wired Tiger comes out, right?
Yeah, and I would love to, like, I got to see an email from Aeronota the other day, and I think it's like, it would be a very mind-blowing email for other people to see this, or like a mind-blowing experience for other people to see this email. So I'm kind of hoping he'll blog about his setup on Kadira soon. You know, they're using Go and Meteor together, and he's been using Wired Tiger in 3.0, and you know, I'm curious, like, is he using that with Go, or is he using that with Meteor, or like what, you know, where all he's using 3.0 at, and was there any trouble for him with that and that kind of thing? But yeah, it looks exciting based on some of the numbers he posted.
Well, I imagine he's Aeronota, so there will be a blog post.
Yes, there will be blogging.
One of the Aeronotas will make the blog post.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I think this is good. I mean, there are a lot of little things. It doesn't look like there's anything really breaking in this release, so that's good.
Yeah.
Just a little dot release, so we'll try to update it as soon as it's ready.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is a precursor to 1.1. There's a new preview out for 1.1 as well. I think like preview 0.2. And if you're on a Windows machine, you should go try that. Tell them all the bugs they still have. Good stuff. All right, this MongoDB story. Who wrote this? What is this?
Oh yeah, it's me for once. Yeah, it was funny. Like I literally, it's funny because we had another meeting with this company. I'll tell you the quick story. Was that we were trying to get a deal with a Fortune 1000 company, and I kind of just blew off their questions about Mongo, you know, thinking we're going to just use Compose, so it doesn't really matter. The licensing stuff's all moot. But in the end, they came back and said, we're just not comfortable with using Mongo at all. You know, I dug a little bit deeper, kind of post-mortem. And it's just interesting, like, I'm actually swinging a little bit away from this blog post a little bit after a couple of the comments on Creator. I don't know if you've been following even the recent discussion on this, Josh. Like,
I've read a little bit of it.
A couple of late comments from, like, Google, people who know Google, and why Google would not allow GPL software in their world, because, you know, if you have thousands of developers all having this, you know, the risk of accidentally packaging in or linking to or compiling in some AGPL code, you know, it's a lot of at-bats to kind of make a big mistake. So I can kind of see why maybe really big companies would just want to avoid that, you know, completely, you know, maybe some brand new developer doesn't know what the heck he's doing and just makes a mistake, but then that's in their code, and I think that's a big problem. So I don't know really how to take that. Just basically, I guess it's why it's such an issue, why it's such a gray area, you know, because it really depends on, it's just a risk thing. So, but yeah, the main idea here was that, you know, people, there's this FUD around Mongo because it uses the AGPL license, and so, you know, but even though MongoDB will say, hey, if you use this the way you're saying you're going to use it, we promise to never have an issue with you, you know. So, but really, the genesis of this post was, I was just thinking about it, you know, after just talking to some people about Mongo and Meteor and all that, and I realized, like, we're not really, the Meteor community has been kind of neutral or really quiet about Mongo, you know. Yet everyone's using it without a problem, or else we would have left Meteor long ago. Right. So I kind of feel like it's our responsibility as a community to stand up and fight for it a little bit, even though it's not necessarily the long term. In the short term, like, we don't know when there's going to be other SQL support for Meteor.
Yeah, I think it's not as short term as we would have hoped. Like, right. And, you know, I was out last week and talking to Matt DeBregalis, and, you know, he didn't give any specific dates or anything, but the way he was kind of talking about things, it sounds like they haven't really done much thinking or or even really started on any other kind of SQL support at this point. So that made me sad. I felt like we'd see something in the first half of 2015, and I have a feeling like it's probably going to be in the second half of 2015.
Yeah, and I think about, like, okay, let's say Meteor had Postgres support too. Like, that's gonna make Meteor more complex. It's gonna break the simplicity of what they've got.
Yeah.
I understand why we need it, but it's kind of frustrating that. So I don't know. I kind of, on one hand, I'm like, can't we just defend Mongo and it's working for us all, and it's getting better, and Mongo 3.0 is coming out, so.
Well, yeah, and then the flip side of that argument is, like, can we just rely on the community to fix this problem? And I feel like, yes, maybe we could, right? Because you see I think it's Ben Green, Numtel, working on the MySQL package, and I think people are just hesitant to even jump in and use that because it's not like an official blessed solution, right?
Yeah.
And people don't want to trust their data to something that's not official.
That, plus then whoever writes it has to maintain it, It's like the Chris Mather effect. You write an important piece of the infrastructure and you're on the hook to maintain it forever. I don't know how that works.
Is that the he who smelt it dealt it rule? He who wrote it maintains it forever.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give him a big pat on the back for all the stuff he's done on iRouter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think, again, the main point is I'm going to probably make it a point to just kind of fire some positivity around Mongo now and again in my posts and in my interactions with the community, because, like I said, we're stuck with it right now. We're stuck with it, and it's not. You haven't heard anybody like rant, say, I quit Meteor because Mongo sucks. I mean, I haven't even seen a single post like that.
Yeah, again, no, but I get, you know what it is? I get a bunch of emails in my inbox, and this is what I was conveying to Matt. It's like, I think Meteor has a bad rap, right? Like, everyone likes to make fun of it, like, oh, it crashes or it drops data.
Mongo, you mean? Are you talking about Meteor or Mongo?
Mongo, sorry.
Okay.
Mongo gets a bad rap in the community, and I get emails about Meteor, and a lot of them will point to Mongo, like, but it doesn't scale, or it has this problem, so I'm not even going to look at Meteor. I just think we're excluding part of the community, so I don't think anyone's coming in and leaving because of Mongo. I think they're just never coming because of Mongo. That's my
but doesn't that say something that supposedly Mongo is this horrible thing, right? Yet, no, I don't know a single developer that's come into the Meteor community and left it because of Mongo. So therefore Mongo can't be as bad as it's reputed to be, and it might just be really good, and they just haven't done a very good job defending themselves online. That's my opinion. I mean, I've read, I know if you search MongoDB, you get like a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff's kind of older now and maybe unfounded. And
I mean, we've got 3.0 out, right? And like that's bleeding edge, but 2.6 has been out for a while, and I think they probably solved a lot of these issues in 2.6.
Yeah.
And it's been out for quite a long time, so I don't know. Maybe undeserved at this point. But as with any technology, like it's only going to take you so far. Like I'm not going to go start with big tables or whatever the hell Google uses because like I don't have the time to invest in putting together a startup around some huge thing that I might not even need. Because let's all be honest. Like your problem with building your app's not going to be scaling. It's going to be getting people to use your damn app.
That's right.
That's the hard part.
And again, I haven't heard a single startup lately, that have said we're using Mongo and it's not working for us. I mean, now they're probably out there. I'm not denying that scale, but a lot of times, what I'm finding is a lot of these switches from like Meteor or Mongo are coming from like a new CTO who just doesn't know that stuff, and they want to move into an area that they're comfortable, and so they throw out Meteor in favor of Angular, they don't know Meteor. So so I think it's the same thing here, and that's where I agree with you though. It's blocking a lot of people from coming into Meteor, but if we actually could start putting out some positive vibes around Mongo, that could help them feel okay coming in. So so I know it's an uphill struggle, but again, it's our database for the time being. So let's
love on it.
A little bit.
Big hugs.
Yep. Especially maybe with 3, we have a big opportunity for that. Since it's going to be a lot faster and stuff like that.
It's all fun and games till it crashes and burns and loses someone's whole database. And
Hey man, I've deleted data from Postgres too.
yeah, true.
It can happen to anybody. So anyway, all right, let's go to the
All
next
right. Environment settings and security. So I wrote this one, and this one kind of hit me out of the blue. So we were talking in the Meteor Club chat room, the patron one, and someone was saying like, oh hey, is there an easy way, like I'm doing this if else around a key in settings, like is there a better way to do this? And I'm like, wait a minute, like you're checking whether you're in production to call different keys from your settings? Well, that seems really not awesome. So kind of dug a little deeper and realized like, you know, the point, if you read the article, the point I'm trying to convey is that the settings should change from environment to environment, and you just call the same key, and you're just making sure that key is correct for each environment that you're in. So, for instance, if we're looking at AWS, S3, or we're looking at Stripe, you know, obviously, like Stripe, you're in test mode on your development box, or you're in test mode on staging, so that you can insert like testing credit cards and make sure that all the callbacks are working and everything. But then when you go live, you've got these production keys, and you actually want to charge people's cards. So that's kind of the difference there. And you know, you should just have like a publishable, Stripe publishable key setting, and in your development environment, you set it with your settings file, and then in your production environment, make sure that you set it with your, you know, environment variables. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like that's kind of a best practice for deployment. And I also kind of talk about why you don't want to put those keys just directly in the code, and that's because, you know, you don't know who's going to have access to that code. You don't know when that code might accidentally leak out. You know, there's been a lot of security stuff going on lately. Like I don't know if you followed any of the Superfish stuff, right?
No, I don't think so.
So if you had a Lenovo laptop, they had this adware that was automatically getting installed, and it was sanctioned by Lenovo. Nice. We're talking about doing Nginx benchmarks in the chat room. So anyway, long story short, it turns out like it was a major security hole because they were basically, you could do a man-in-the-middle attack on any web page and like gank anything that anyone was looking at. And so if you're looking at GitHub and you pull up a page with a private key on it, like boom, your security is compromised right there. Like anyone that knew about Superfish could like dip in there and like get that data out of there if they really wanted to. And that's just one potential security leak, right? And with your code base, like I'm sure, I mean, what do you guys have hooked into UserCycle right now? Do you know? That has access to your code, like third-party services.
Gosh, third-party services that have access to our code?
Yeah, like CI or Hound. Like,
Nope.
Syntax checking.
Yeah, we don't really have anything that I can
Code Climate would be another one.
Yeah, and I love Code Climate, but no, we're not using that.
But yeah, I mean, like that's another, like I mentioned in there, a circle of trust, right? And like maybe I think GitHub's secure, maybe they're not, right? With 100 and some employees, I would think the attack vectors are pretty easy. But then, at the end of the article, I linked to, people putting S3 keys in public code. Like that's a real problem.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, I have as well. And Amazon, like, it was with the differential credit card on the differential Amazon account. We checked it into
that's right, yeah.
the podcast, and then they like disabled our account and said like, "Hey, we found your keys. You should fix that."
Yeah, I think that happened to Colin too. Remember?
Yeah, he got a big bill for it though.
Yeah. So I think this is like a really easy concept if you're coming from Rails and Heroku, because that's just the way we were brought up, that Heroku has these config variables, and you can have different variables when you're on, when you're developing locally, and it just was very obvious that was a feature that exists Where I think if you're just coming into Meteor, maybe you're coming from some other technology like PHP or something like that, and you're just not used to these configs, you might misuse it. So I think your post was really good to help help people if they are misusing the settings, and certainly checking that stuff in.
Yeah.
So that, kind of there's the big question, like do you commit that settings, the one you use in development, into the repo?
No.
'Cause sometimes you actually have production, maybe you're pushing to a dev version for Mixpanel or something like that.
Right, and I think it's fine. Like if you guys want to share a dev settings file, that totally makes sense. But your production one should not be in there, right? Because that's your security. Those are your keys. You need to make sure that they're only being set one spot. And then, someone even asked me a follow-up, what do you do if you got to share your production keys with someone? And I said, well, chances are they've got access to a system that's going to have those keys, right? Give them, if you're using Modulus, give them access to the Modulus app, and they're going to be able to see those in the environment settings. So.
Yep. There's definitely that. So, yeah, that's good. Nice post.
Thanks.
Jump to the next topic, which is some dude made a native OS X app with Meteor. That's pretty sweet. The GitHub username is Meteor Hybrid. Do you know who this person is? It says Andrew Reedy. Looks like.
I don't actually. Oh, nice. So I hadn't looked at this yet. That's why I gave you the story.
Oh, nice. I looked at it. I thought that sounds fun. If only I didn't know that I could use Meteor to make native apps now too. My world is getting really big all of a sudden.
Yeah.
What you can do with Meteor.
Yeah. So it looks like they're using something called MacGap 2.
Yep.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's new. I mean, it says it's considered beta and it's not very actively developed. Bad docs, he says. But sounds like, I guess there was a Cordova OS X platform, which is also not moving along very well. So, again, I don't know how practical this is. However, Slack, it says, Slack is actually using MacApp 2 for its Mac app, and I use that app all day long.
Yeah, I think we all do.
The Mac version. Yeah, so, I mean, it's obviously it can be used, and it's so it's kind of a nice idea. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really get into how much instrumentation is required here, but it doesn't look like too much. It looks like there's just, a config file, a Mac-config file, and then you have to use gulp to build it, and Xcode, it fires up Xcode, and then you run the application. So, I mean, I think it's I'm sure there's a nice little hack here that someone could get an app. I mean, I wouldn't mind having User Cycle have a native app, That's cool.
But the interesting thing here is you've got other things like, what is it, Flint? Is that the name of it? No, that's that was the other one. What's this called?
Oh, you mean it'll just have an icon for your an app?
No, it's actually a separate browser.
It's like an app-specific browser.
Yeah, and you can just point it at any old URL and give it a custom icon and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm pretty sure there's oh gosh, I can't, I'm even looking at it right now, and he doesn't have the name in here anywhere. But yeah, you can show doc badge labels, and you can set Fluid App. That's the name of it.
Oh yes.
Start with an app. And you can totally. I'm pretty sure there's custom headers you can set on the page or something, and it'll you can put unread kind of labels on the doc badge if you want. It looks like actually. So I use it with Trello. I've got a Fluid specific Trello that I keep open.
Mm.
And it's got the doc badge that shows I've got 5 things that need done right now, or 5 notifications anyway.
Yeah, and so the other thing I was just thinking about with this Mac app is I don't know if I want to ever be back in the world where if I change the code, I have to get people to re-download it. So unless this thing had a way to automatically keep itself up to date with my latest code, doesn't sound too exciting.
So basically, you just need Slava to come in and add all the stuff to make it like Cordova and get it to work just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to basically have it auto update when the server changes, but I'm sure that's not in the cards with this because it sounds like it fires up Xcode and probably does some normal compiling and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So yeah. So again, kind of neat and fun, but we'll see if it's practical.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be practical though. You just have fun little experiments.
Could be. I mean, Slack is ruling the world now, right? So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I spend about 4 hours a week chatting in Slack, so they're definitely winning. So next is reactive user interfaces. A blog post by, who is this? This guy? Tom Coleman. Yeah, geez, where's this guy been? He's been hiding under a rock. So I had to click on this because I saw it was Percolate. I thought, okay, we'll check this out. And then it turns out like it's actually about React, the framework, and about how he feels like it's creating a much more easy to reason about way that your code's updating, right? Like he talks a little bit about how he's got some interesting animated kind of graphics here, and it shows like if this changes, then like it goes and updates those other two nodes. Whereas with React, they use a virtual DOM, and kind of like it flows differently to update those templates, I guess. So it's not as hard to understand how and why things are updating, I guess, was his point. But probably the most interesting thing to me is that there's an official React-sanctioned Meteor repo, and they've been working on this for a while. Looks like back in August they started on this.
Who's they?
They, I saw one commit from Tom, but let's see. Where's it at?
Oh, the official React Meteor package.
Yeah, still a work in progress. And so Ben Jam.
So it's on the React.
Ben Newman. Oh, okay. Interesting. Ben Newman's working on this. So he works at Meteor. And John Gold. But it looks like it's been mostly Ben Newman. So it's an interesting little tidbit coming out there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when the React guy came. I remember he did a talk during one of the dev shops. It seemed to me like there was definitely a lot of interest for the two parties to work together. And I just sensed that from that talk that they were trying to figure out a way to work things out.
Yeah.
We were talking about React in our differential Slack, and we were just saying like the thing that kind of sucks about it is like the HTML. You have like HTML in the JavaScript. You've seen that, like the template, like little snippets of HTML throughout the JavaScript code.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if you've like dug into how React works that way. But,
I haven't. No.
I mean, it's just like I don't know. It just feels like maybe that's the way things are going, but it sure feels nice to have these little .html files for HTML stuff. Now, like
I agree with you. Like I don't, we try very hard not to put styles in our HTML, right? Or like on-click handlers directly in your HTML. Like that just seems bad nowadays.
Yeah, it was like that lightning talk at the dev shop too. The guy like putting all the CSS inside of the JavaScript too. I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking to him about that afterwards. Like, I was out there last week, and we went out for beers, and we were asking him, like, how's that work? And he's like, I just, like, compute everything and then just, like, shove it onto the element as, like, an on-element style. And it was like, oh, that seems really weird. But he was talking about maybe instead, like, generating the CSS file and then reactively, like, applying those classes.
Can you, like, keep changing the file, though? Like, I don't know. I don't know if you can keep changing a file as things are dynamically changing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know either. But yeah, it just seemed like again, cool demos. Like I don't mind having cool demos, but the practicality of it all. And now the thing that's interesting about React, of course, though, is like React is like super fast, right? Like I think it's right now it's like de facto. To me, if I was going to say like what's the hottest front end, supposed to be the fastest thing, it's React.
Right.
So that makes it interesting. It just kind of sucks that if you have to put HTML snippets in the JavaScript is the way to get it done. But I mean, maybe it's the way to go. We don't like sluggish front ends, so especially when you get on mobile and whatnot, or if we do like Cordova. Well, actually, React has the React Native stuff too.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that lies either. It's completely different than the normal React, I think. So things are changing. Meteor wants to play with that stuff, but I don't know. Gerard's going to do a talk about this next week too here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm excited about that, and I think we're going to record that, so it'll be on my YouTube channel for time in memoriam, so people can remote in and kind of watch that. So
yeah, maybe a topic for next week's discussion, right?
Indeed, for sure. Maybe, yeah, or the week after, we'll see.
Yeah, so we get it up.
Yeah. So, real quick, like, number one, if anyone has a question, like, they should ask it now on the live streaming page. But I'm gonna ask Rye, like, have you done anything interesting this week?
Man, interesting, sure. Have I done anything frustrating? Yes, it was wrestling with CSV for the past few days. What a horrible format, gosh. Can I rant on CSV real quick?
Do you need to? Like, does everyone already know?
I sure hope no one in this world likes CSV and says, oh, no, CSV is better than JSON. Shut up, that's not true. No, I mean, basically issues with APIs like interpreting a string that has an integer inside of the string as, let's just convert that to an integer. Like there's just mysterious conversions in various APIs that, if you don't specify, there's like no way to say, what did you intend that to be? Did you want that to be an integer? Did you want it to be a string? If you wrap it with quotes, I think I'm saying to you, this is a string. But yeah, anyway, so I had that last few days. Really sucks.
Nice.
Yeah, but I am actually, this whole user cycle thing is bringing me into this world of like learning about like Redshift, like Postgres in the cloud, that kind of stuff. All the data science stuff. I get to learn all these cool tools. So if anyone's in visualizations, we're getting deep into D3. What else are we doing? Yeah, it's fun stuff. But like tuning, like this week, Greg and I spent a lot of time tuning this job work, this back-end thing. Like user cycles just crunching data all day long, and it's using third-party APIs. And like if you use it too much, you get these errors back saying, you're hitting us too hard.
Yeah, rate limiting. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you go too soft on it, you're like kind of like it's extra slow for the user for no reason. So how do you tune a system to get right at the edge of the rate limiting, but not going over it? So we've refactored a bunch of times on that.
Yeah, I remember. So back when I did Follower, Twitter had the API rate limit, and we did some interesting things there. Because it turns out a lot of the data I needed was just public, and the rate limit was per user, per token, per application. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you signed up and I signed up and Greg signed up, like, I could use all three of those tokens to fetch public data if I wanted to. And so, like, I had this whole system where I could watch for an error and then just drop that token on the ground and pick up a new token and then just continue on with fetching more data. And I had this, it was kind of like this API harness where I could suck in a bunch of data from Twitter on demand. But yeah, that's not easy, and it only worked because I was using public data.
Yeah, and so we have, like in Keen, we have rate limits that aren't. We thought the rate limit was per project, but then we have like multiple views per project, so we have to like make sure if we have 2 views that it goes half the speed because it needs, but then we actually discovered this week that oh no, the rate limits are actually at the org or like the account level, and but they didn't even tell us like on the project. When I asked, people upload their project credentials, I don't know if they're all in one org or so we've actually had them change their API to help facilitate us being nicer. So that's pretty fun stuff, but not really time consuming. How about you? Anything? Did you do anything new this week?
Yeah, just doing a lot of Meteor Club stuff. So I've been working a little bit on a Meteor Club Pro account. So I want to replace Patreon and move it to meteorjs.club, which required me to figure out SSL, right? Because right now I'm hosting on DigitalOcean for that site with right now that one's just regular old MUP, and then I've also got Crater there, and I was trying to get SSL on Crater because like let's be secure, right? And so then Crater's fronted by Nginx, and right now all it does is just load balancing to one box, right? So it's not really like Nginx wasn't doing much. So I spent time this week working on like SSL, and then also having Nginx serve up your static assets, like your images and your CSS and JS. Yeah. And so like this afternoon we were having a big debate, like how much faster is Nginx than Node? Does this make a difference? Is it worth spending a few minutes on? So kind of where my head's been at the last couple of days.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's interesting. Like you mentioned serving up static assets. I was talking to a big startup, and they were telling me about their like their CloudFront bill and all this, like all the different asset hosting stuff like that. You'd be, it's just kind of shocking how much that costs at scale. I never really realized that, but that's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So I'll mention Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/Meteor Club, you can support the podcast, support Meteor Club, all the blogging I'm doing, Crater, that kind of stuff. We've got a bunch of new people, Nate, John, G, Arthur, Sean, Michael C, Robert, quite a few. We're almost to that point where I got to start a new podcast.
Oh, geez, promises, huh?
Yeah. But I am going to switch it over. So if you want to get in the chat room, you'll be able to just go to meteorjs.club/pro, and you'll be able to get an account there. And we got like 35 people in the chat room now. Like it's so.
What's so real quick question? Like if someone's trying to learn media right now, do you have like any active classes or anything like that they can sign up for?
Yeah.
Softball.
No,
I'm serious.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, so I've actually got video that I need to put together, and like I'm gonna start selling that specifically so people can do like self-paced.
So your answer is no.
But my next live class is in March. Well, I guess it's March. Oh.
Oh shit! It starts tomorrow.
No, it's not that soon. But it is. It's March 20th and 21st. So it's a Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. So
you have space in that still?
I do. I think I've got 2 seats, so it's so close to filling up.
Yeah.
I think this one's gonna fill up. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
But just go to, I guess, meteorjs.club/learn, and there's a little sign-up link on there. Just put in your email, and you'll get all the info.
Cool. Yeah, I've referred some people to the Josh Owens School of Meteor.
Nice, yeah. I'm excited about it. 8 Days of Meteor, like that was really the impetus for getting SSL done, was so I could start selling 8 Days of Meteor.
Yeah. Okay, because you want to do some e-commerce, yes.
Yeah, so almost done, almost.
All right, good luck with that.
Yep.
That's like SSL is the thing you do like once every 6 months, and it's like you relearn it every time.
Yeah, I figured like while I was doing it, I might as well put it on Crater, and then it turns out like a bunch of the Crater stuff isn't set up right to handle SSL, so gotta go fix Telescope.
Yeah.
Fun.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
Yep.
Talk next week.
Yep.